Hello, welcome to the Bible study introduction. I hope that you're able to join me on Zoom later on, but if not, this really goes with the sheet of Bible study notes for today. It's actually, we're looking at the readings for Easter 5, Sunday the 10th of May. And the readings are Acts 7:55 to 60, Psalm 31, that's 1 to 5 and 15 to 16. These are from the lectionary. 1 Peter 2, 2 to 10, and John, Gospel of John 14, verses 1 to 14. As before, on the sheet, it gives you some kind of guidance, perhaps, for how you can use the readings. I suggest that you read the reading and see what strikes you. But on these readings, there's one particular one. You could try this with two of them, actually, where you could imagine yourself in the story. So I thought maybe you could try that sometime during this week, maybe before Sunday. It's a difficult story. It's very short reading. It's the reading from Acts 7:55 to 60, and it's the stoning of Stephen, the first martyr. So it's a difficult reading because of that. But there's a way of reading the Bible that's maybe a bit something you're not familiar with particularly, which is to read it and imagine yourself as part of the story. Now, there was someone there when Stephen was stoned, and he obviously must have heard Stephen talking about the fact that he saw Jesus at the right hand of the Father, and he must have heard Stephen say, "Jesus, receive my spirit," and then he must have heard Stephen cry out, "Forgive them, Jesus, forgive them. Do not hold this sin against them." Now, it's possible, perhaps, to imagine yourself with that young man, Saul, actually, who was with those coats, who became Paul the Apostle. Because it seems to me that part of his journey to Damascus, perhaps, was founded, the foundation of that journey was partly in this experience that he had, seeing how Stephen died. He knelt, Stephen did, and he said, "Do not hold this sin against them." It strikes me that this is a key moment in the life of the early church, because it sets an example. If we are to be followers of Jesus, well, then Stephen is an example to us. The other reading that you could imagine yourself in, perhaps, is that one from John's Gospel, perhaps more familiar to many of us, John 14, 1 to 14. And it's that point at which Jesus says, "I am the way." And it starts off with Jesus saying, you know the way that I must follow. And Thomas says, "Well, we don't. I don't know what you're talking about." And then Philip, later on, he also pipes up and just says, "Look, show us the Father. It's enough. Show us the Father." And Jesus says, "Look, I've been with you this long, and you still don't know. You still don't understand." So that's another reading that you could imagine yourself there. You could be with Thomas. You could be with Philip. You could be perhaps with Simon Peter, who must have been there. Or just an observer looking and seeing what goes on. But another thing you can do in your imagination, you can actually imagine that you're asking a question too. So if you have a question of Jesus here, ask the question in your imagination. As always with these Bible studies, I always suggest you start with a prayer, perhaps the Lord's Prayer, and finish with a short prayer too. You don't have to do it like this. On the sheet, it's got instructions that don't suggest you do this, just suggest read it and see what strikes you. I hope you have a good week, a blessed week, and I hope these readings speak to you this week. God bless you all.